So yeah, you could say then, of course, it's interesting. But once more I have discovered something else, so, you know, I don't always have to be in the center of the attention. Right now, for instance, I discovered this yesterday, that I can also just sit behind the camera. And it gives it a different effect, and I actually quite like that. To just record nature and then say something. And now I could, for example, also sing or do whatever, but right now, you know, it's about speaking. And to just allowing things to be the way they are. And there's this one image that I drew, right? It was with a lot of like penis volcanoes or something. And a lot of breasts at the bottom. And when I was finished with that painting, there was something black in the middle. And what you could see was that you go into it and it's black. If you keep going into it, at one point the light will shine out of it. So every dark spot in yourself, in your soul or whatever, is a source for light. You just have to fill that spot with light again. So it's important to look at it and to love it. And now when I look into this, I see this dark spot. And I connect it with the woman that I love, because somehow there was something, like really painful, that I never wanted to look at. And now, with her being elsewhere, and I somehow, you know, had to find that place inside of myself. And I found it. And I refused to run to another woman, and I refused to, you know, spend time with other kind of people for most of the time now that I spend on my own. And I just continued to work and to reflect and to observe and to feel. And now I understood that I somehow have, you know, I seem to have filled this darkness with some light. That's a kind of a strange feeling, because suddenly you seem more lightful, and suddenly that kind of darkness is something from the past, something you fondly remember. And now this will take some time, because I still remember how it felt like to suffer like this. That because at least this suffering seems to be over. Was like a hole in my heart. That's the best way to describe it. A hole in my heart. And I seem to have fixed it in a way, or love has fixed it, because I opened my heart more. But yeah, I just went through hell for that. So you allow yourself to suffer, and you allow yourself to heal. And that just takes time. And every time you stop the healing, you will suffer more. But then that's just what you need, probably. So for me, it was being alone. To me, was quite suffering, and I never managed until now, where I basically forced myself to be alone. But it's also learning from that, right? So I learned from that, don't give people more than they can take. Like, don't try to overload people with your love, because maybe the reason why you're doing that is because you don't love yourself. And people cannot appreciate it, because it doesn't come free, right? You're giving because you're expecting something. And some mothers cook because that's how they that's how they try to shove love into their child. But also then the child has to be kind of grateful, right? Because you're cooking for it. And that's why giving love in a material kind of way always wants a thank you. So it's never love that's freely given. It's always love that wants a thank you. So if you can really give love, then you expect nothing back. And sometimes giving love to people means shutting them out, so that they can love themselves more, because you love them so much that you make sure that they, right, start to be okay on their own. And then a friend comes running to you because his girlfriend has broken up with him and he feels like he needs somebody to take care of him. And then you say, okay, fuck off. You need to spend time on your own now, and you need to be left by a lot of people before you start to learn to love yourself, because that's what he's lacking, self-love. And that's why being alone is one of the hardest things, because suddenly you have to love yourself. But that's also the best thing. So in the end you can spend entire weeks on your own, and it's okay. But you also realize, you don't want that to be the case for the rest of your life. So you also try to be okay with people around, so that you can love both. And that's also taking responsibility for your place in society, instead of just running away. And I remember this one, maybe a Swedish or Norwegian woman, quite attractive, just like physically. And they went somewhere into the emptiness of, I don't know, some kind of country which also experiences quite cold winters. And she started to do YouTube, and then she's just sharing everything. And then she's forcing her husband to also share. So, see, the reason why she's doing YouTube then is because she's not enough for herself. So she's sharing her stuff with other people, and because she's quite attractive, a lot of people watch it, probably all men, and probably they all masturbate to seeing her, half naked, going into the water. Because we are all kind of sexually addicted. So, yeah, you can get a lot of feedback, and people will tell you, oh, I love what you're doing, I wish I could be like you. And that means you're feeding off of other people, which means you're not okay to be on your own. And you start to see that when they then, she wants even to share her husband with you, but he's not really comfortable. So, if you like doing YouTube, don't force others to like it too. You should be okay to do it on your own. And if you're not, that means you're missing something. And then you're going to invite like weird people onto your show and try to do like more and more things because you actually think, and then when it starts showing again, you actually think you're not enough. And that's why you're doing interviews with people. Because you yourself are not enough. So you use other people to boost your fame. And maybe that's what Joe Rogan is doing. The Joe Rogan show or experience. Maybe he thinks he's not enough. Because otherwise, why doesn't he just do his own show? Because he's always interviewing other people. And that's why I decided at a certain point, I don't want to interview anyone. Because nobody has to say what I have to say. So I just keep saying what I have to say. Because that's what I like. I like to be the focus of my own work. Because that's what I like. It's, my playground. I can do what I want. I can say what I want. Nobody's here that also wants attention. Because that's what I then have realized. I have a lot to say. I have a lot to share. And when I take people into my show, and they have the feeling they have something to say too, Only they didn't work for that. Now suddenly, I give them the floor, and then they say all these things, but it's not really them that's saying it. It's just because I'm there that they can say these things. And of course, maybe that's a gift then that I have, but that also has the problem, right? Not everybody can deal with this, with a situation where suddenly you're kind of famous, right? And maybe then 20,000 people are watching your videos, or I don't know how many. You have to actively deal with that beforehand. And if you then also give this to other people, it's like winning the lottery. They won't appreciate it as much, and they will think they're really awesome, but they forget that they actually didn't do it themselves. No, it's you who enabled them to do this, and that's why all the interviews I did on my show, I deleted them again. Because I didn't want this in there anymore. This is about me, because I know how I will be dealing with this. And this is why I continue to do this. Because the focus is on spreading the message and showing roughly what I learned, and not what other people have learned. It's about me. And that's the Barbarian Lunatic and nobody else, and that's just who I am. Not who I am, but somebody I've created. Or that was created to basically show you who I am, which is me.